The Florida Panthers start off their California trip with a 5-3 victory over the San Jose Sharks, with the Panthers falling behind, some line shuffles, but we also have an update on the Panthers' new practice facility.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Wednesday, November 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News, and you can follow me on X at Monoman12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers. And shout out to everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. You can follow this podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And don't forget to smash that like button on every YouTube video. And let's just go right into it. And the Florida Panthers, they come out with a 5-3 win over the San Jose Sharks, sweep the season series. And this was a game where the Florida Panthers, they really controlled the neutral zone. The offensive zone time for the Panthers was almost double. Every time you saw it on the ESPN Plus screen when they showed the offensive zone time, the Panthers were just pinning them deep. And even though the Florida Panthers fell behind in the third period, giving up 2 goals in less than 3 minutes to the San Jose Sharks, the Panthers still fought through. There were periods of time when the Florida Panthers were not giving the San Jose Sharks really any opportunities to get the puck on net on Anthony Stolarz. And Anthony Stolarz gets another win over the San Jose Sharks, going 19 of 22. And the Panthers, second straight game where they have 2 power play goals, 2 straight games after not going the first 13 with 2. And here to break this down, this 5-3 win over the San Jose Sharks for the Florida Panthers, as they are now 10-4-1 and have won 5 straight games and just continuing to set that tone, their post Stanley Cup final tone this season. And here to break this down is Jacob Winans here on a Winans Wednesday edition of the show. And it is 2:09 a.m. and as the great Scott Van Pelt, my fellow Golf Channel alum, says when he hosts the midnight edition of SportsCenter, I am not tired yet. Jacob, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Oh man, this is it seems like we always get one of these late games every year. I look forward to them, but especially when we win, I cannot complain. If we're staying up this late, we might as well enjoy a W. So they made me nervous for a little bit. Not too nervous. I had a feeling they'd come through, especially against that Sharks team. But definitely the Panthers don't play games that aren't exciting. Every Panthers game is it's gonna have some twists and turns to it. So I enjoyed that one.
I had the opposite approach actually of you when it came to and this is well documented on the Locked On Florida Panthers X page. I said, oh, the San Jose Sharks tied this game at 2. I am unbothered. And then literally 2 minutes later, they score to go 3-2. Someone replied, how about now? And I wrote in all caps, I am unbothered by it. And really for the Florida Panthers, getting literally from the jump on the opening faceoff, they go 2-on-1 where Rodriguez shoots and it's saved by Mackenzie Blackwood, which he was under duress all night for the San Jose Sharks. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers could possibly use Mackenzie Blackwood when the trade deadline comes around and all. But really, this really started with the neutral zone play for the Florida Panthers there, and it was pretty clean for the most part. And really, the offensive zone time, we mentioned this at the top, where it was almost double the amount of time where the Florida Panthers got their forecheck going as well, cycling the puck in the offensive zone. But a lot of the times during this game, a lot of the great shifts happened even when they didn't result in goals, which Ryan Lomberg gets the first goal of the game, which the puck gets loose in the neutral zone, and then Ryan Lomberg finishes it to beat Mackenzie Blackwood. That's at 12:34 in the first period. But also after that, the energy from the different lines, even before the line shuffles, happened when that fourth line got on the ice, and just goes to show that you don't need to necessarily pad the stats for that fourth line, but just creating. And we were talking about how that fourth line of Stenlin, Lomberg, and Lawrence, that was a great line to start. Yeah, they had some shuffles with injuries, but they set the tone for the night starting this game, even though they weren't the main guys who got like 2 points on the night, like the Reinharts, the Barkovs, the Tkachuks, the Verhaeghes, and all. But that fourth line set the tone.
I thought so too. I think the energy level was high from them, and that's really what you need on a night like this, where it's a late game. It's first game of a West Coast trip. Guys are probably takes a while to get your legs under you, and also against an opponent that's just, on paper it's a weaker opponent. You're not really expecting much of a game out of them, and that's no disrespect to San Jose or saying that they're not professionals, because anyone can win on any given night in the NHL. Everyone is a professional, but just human nature. Sometimes you tend to take these kind of matchups a little bit easier, and you might not always bring your A game right away. So on games like that, situations like that, you really need your fourth line, your energy guys to really bring it, because they don't play as many minutes, and the shorter minutes that they do play can be really, really impactful. So the first period, we saw a lot of Ryan Lomberg just flying around, throwing the body, finishing checks, doing whatever he can to get the team going. The way John Buchagras on the broadcast called it, he said that line really dragged the Panthers into the fight, which I think was a pretty accurate way to describe it, because it was almost a little bit of a sleepwalk through the first half of that game, and the fourth line kind of had to set the tone energy-wise to get the team going until the big guys really found their legs. So I thought the fourth line did exactly what you want your fourth line to do. They were fast, they were physical, they forechecked hard, they played the body, and that's what you're looking for out of your fourth line on any given night. And then, of course, it's a nice bonus when you get a goal out of them too, which Ryan Lomberg got them on the score sheet, buried the first goal of the night for the Cats. And I think anytime you can get depth scoring from your fourth line, that's a nice bonus. But bringing the energy and bringing that level of intensity, even on a game where you don't think you might need it, that's even bigger almost than that goal.
Yeah, and situationally, think about when that came for Ryan Lomberg. The Panthers were on the PK, and then they had a power play shortly after. And even though the Panthers only had one shot on goal on that first one, but then you think about how the Panthers were just getting into blue paint, and Mackenzie Blackwood, I almost a handful of saves that I saw where he's just kicking his leg out for saves. There's one on Barkov. There was one as well on Sam Bennett. And even going into the latter part of the first period, it was a little sluggish getting the pucks to the net, even though they had the offensive zone time as well. And there was a beautiful opportunity by, a beautiful entry by Sasha Barkov, and then Sam Reinhart just misses the net on a second chance opportunity with the net open. And that was when the game was tied 1-1. But then, these are the type of games where when you see a different an opponent like San Jose, your brain can kind of go on autopilot. And credit to Paul Maurice. When he did these line shuffles, it was actually when the Florida Panthers were up 2-1 when he did it. And I think that gives that team an opportunity to not go into that mode mentally, because that's when the game can be lost on mental errors. And going to the goals that the Panthers did give up when they did, it was a minute and 10 apart, where they get it on the power play and then on a delayed penalty after and all. And quick patient passing on that first on that second power play, second goal by San Jose, where Thomas Hertl redirects it, and then that goal that goal by Luke Cunnin was very similar to the one that Dickinson had for the Chicago Blackhawks on Sunday, where it gets to the end boards, they're getting in front of the net, and then a rebound opportunity as well. But for the Panthers, I mean, the line shuffles, it got their energy going, and we spoke about the fourth line creating it, but also going back to like a playoff line, like putting Nick Cousins back on that second line, Carter Verhaeghe knowing a familiar face in Barkov. And this is not just experimenting for the sake of experimenting. It's knowing, it's like looking ahead in case you need to put this. This was the game to test it for the Panthers.
Yeah, I agree. I think in a situation where the energy might not be there, the 5-on-5 production might not be there, it's nice to have that in your back pocket as something, as an alignment you can go to. I think it's something that Paul Maurice has a lot of confidence in when he has to shuffle those lines, and that shuffle really, the X factor there is being able to go with Bennett, Tkachuk, and Cousins because they were so effective as a line in the playoffs. It's not something you want to see every single night on a regular season basis, but knowing that they had success in the playoffs, and in a pinch, if you need to go to that alignment, that's what you can roll that out there. And I think being able to fall back on it in a situation where you need to get something going, it's nice to have. I think Evan Rodriguez really in the shifts that he had with Lundell and Etu, I think he really boosted the offense and brought some offense out of those guys. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. I mean, there's definitely rumors swirling about possibly adding another skilled offensive winger. So if that ends up coming to fruition, I could definitely see a little bit more of that trio getting ice time. But if not, I'm comfortable with Nick Cousins sliding up occasionally and letting Evan Rodriguez play with those younger guys. And then you just know what you're going to get and any given night from Barkov, from Verhaeghe, from Tkachuk. It's a familiarity thing at this point, and I think it's nice to be able to go to that. I do think it's bold when you're winning a game to make that kind of change. A lot of times when you're winning, you don't want to touch anything. But I think even in having the lead at that point in time in the game, you just feel that something was lacking there offensively at 5-on-5, and Paul Maurice is a veteran coach. Sometimes you just have to go with your gut and go with how things feel in a game. And I think the feel of the game turned when he made those changes, which it's a veteran coaching move. You've got to have a lot of games and a lot of experience to be able to pull the trigger on going with a line blender in a game that you're winning.
Yeah, no doubt, and thankfully the Panthers were able to get goals very quickly. They could have had three straight shots if that goal by Sam Bennett was not reversed. You think about how the Panthers were just quick to retrieve the puck after a shot on the power play, and then Tkachuk gets it to Verhaeghe, and then he scores as well. And then Belinskis' shot is redirected by Kevin Stenlund through the 5-hole as well. Crazy to think how the Panthers can just do it like that sometimes as well. And even earlier, OEL, his shot is scored by Sam Reinhart on the rebound, which 12 goals for Sam Reinhart on the season. Just incredible what Sam Reinhart is continuing to do this season. And Barkov ending it with the empty netter as he walks all the way to the net, so that he says he doesn't miss it, because he said after the game that he's not good with empty netters, according to him. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2. We're going to discuss when we thought this game was won or lost and our 3 stars of the game. We're going to discuss that more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. And a new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Matthew Tkachuk could score 50 goals. The Panthers could win the Stanley Cup, and you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy contests. All you have to do is pick studs like Sam Reinhart, Alexander Barkov, Connor McDavid, Alexander Ovechkin, or Sidney Crosby. If they will record more or less what their sleeper projections are with things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in any given game. To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Cats fans. You win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you could start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Segment number 2 here on this Wednesday, November 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Winans Wednesday edition of the show. So, Jacob, as far as when we thought this game was won or lost, it's funny because, like I said at the very beginning, I remained unbothered when the San Jose Sharks went up 3-2 in the middle of the third period, because even though compared to the last matchup, the Sharks were starting to get into the blue paint, Anthony Stolarz had he had an all right game. I thought with the Tomas Hertl goal, he was a little late moving laterally to his right on that one to try to make a stop. But as far as when I thought this game was won, I thought it was won in the first 10 minutes of the second period, where the Florida Panthers did not allow a shot on goal against the San Jose Sharks until the middle part of the frame and all. And I thought the Panthers were just slowly trending in the direction, just knowing that they were the better team on the night. So even though there wasn't a lead change at the time, I was thinking, okay, this is really when we were starting to see that it was a team that was just really in full control. And like we said, the fourth line had a line where they were consistently going and spending a lot of time in the opposing team zone. And then shortly after the Sharks got their first shot on goal, that's when the first power play goal happened, when Sam Reinhart scored to make it 2-1 and all. And that's when, and think about the last 12 minutes of the game. After that 3-2 lead for the San Jose Sharks, the Panthers only gave up 2 shots on goal in the remainder of the game. And it came with the extra attacker too. And also, I want to give a special shout out to Niko Mikkola on the night. Broke up a 2-on-1 on the night as well. A big 2-on-1. And there was a big opportunity that he had earlier in that second period. I believe it was Mike Hoffman. He was about to score again. And we saw him. No, it was Hertl. It was Hertl that had a step on Niko Mikkola, and he was there to disrupt Tomas Hertl from getting what would have been his first goal on the night as well. So I thought this game was won or lost in the first 10 minutes for the Panthers in the second period, where they were just controlling everything. How about you?
I do agree with that, and Niko Mikkola, well-earned shout out tonight. He was unbelievable defensively. At times, he reminds me almost of like a great cornerback in football, where they could just shut down an entire half of the field, and you just know you can't throw it over there because nothing's gonna go positive for your offense if you throw it to that side of the field. It's looked like that at times this year with Mikkola. Like, he shuts down his entire side of the ice, and no matter what you want to do, that side of the ice, it's a no-fly zone essentially when he's back there defensively. So that Niko Mikkola had a really, really, really great game. As far as when I thought the game was won or lost, I think I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna say it'd be easy to say we had the game won when Carter Verhaeghe ties it on the power play. I think that's the easy answer for me. I'm gonna say the game was won when Sam Reinhart scores on the power play. I think it's at a point now where I have such a high level of confidence in the Panthers at 5-on-5 that if they get any production at all from special teams, if the power play connects, I just assume that's the boost we needed. That you win the special teams battle and we're going to be fine. So I think for me it's Sam Reinhart scoring on the power play. I'm like, when that happens, I'm like, we got a power play goal. I have such confidence in our 5-on-5 game. No one's beating us at 5-on-5, and if we can get a power play goal, you don't lay an egg and go 0-for on the power play. You don't give up a shorty. None of those catastrophic things. You get a power play goal, and this team is buzzing because I think when special teams is working, there's really no one in the NHL who can touch the Panthers at 5-on-5.
And let's also go back to Paul Maurice's interview mid-game prior to one of the power plays, is how he spoke about the scoring chances, the analytics, and all that. How he likes what they're doing as far as puck movement. When he spoke with Blake Bolden on the ESPN Plus broadcast, which that was her broadcasting debut. Congratulations to her, I want to say publicly, even though some of the things that Buchacross said about the Panthers loving Mike Hoffman when they were there, at least power play specialist, but nothing more outside of that. And then saying how the Panthers fell behind against Chicago and came back. I'm like, wait, the Panthers never trailed in that one. So a little bit of a lack of homework there on the broadcast today from the play-by-play guy. As much as we love Bucci and his chicken parm and all that stuff, but as far as the power play and getting going and the puck moving and all, and getting your chances, getting the pucks to net, rebound opportunities, it's really encouraging when you see how when a group goes from snake bitten and then you see what the advanced stats say, and then it's like, oh, when they're converting, that's what those charts are talking about. Okay, now it's starting to make sense as far as getting their scoring opportunities as well. As far as 3 stars, mine are Sam Reinhart. Even though he battling even though he had a power play goal against that, still what him and Barkov do in all situations, it's still the best forward group as far as a pair on the PK. Still, as much as we don't want them to get logged so many minutes, that is still the best forward group out there and what they do defensively. 2 points on the night. A 9th multi-point game this season, tied with Artemi Panarin of the New York Rangers. So it just goes to show. And Buchacross also said, sneaky Hart Trophy candidate. Not going to go that far yet. Let's see if this continues, and then we'll talk more about Hart for Sam Reinhart. Second one is Sasha Barkov. What he continues to do on both sides of the ice as well. Sam Reinhart had a beautiful backhand feed from the end boards to Sasha Barkov that was stopped by Blackwood. I thought that he was going to score there as well. And Ryan Lomberg gets the first goal on the night, creates so much energy, and the hockey stats cards has Ryan Lomberg as towards the tops of this one. And then I mentioned Niko Mikkola earlier, but I also want to shout out Juvis Belinskis as well on the night. And even though he got a goal taken away, he got his first NHL assist on the night. Yeah, he got his first goal a few games ago against Carolina as well, but also getting his first NHL assist. And also, even though they gave up a power play goal, we're continuing to see over these last 3 games some of the times where they were on the PK. There have been times where we see at least once a game where they're not giving up a shot on goal, where they're holding the opposition to not getting into the zone and gaining it. And it's so incredible to see. Also, special shout out to the PK as well. Your 3 stars of the game, my friend.
So my 3rd star, I'm gonna give it to Niko Mikkola. I don't think the Panthers win that game without him tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-on-1 that he shut down, I think that was definitely a goal, because if he doesn't get back, it's almost a 2-on-0, and he completely erases that play without even a shot attempt.
On a change too.
On
Panthers
it,
were caught
yeah,
on a change.
in the middle of a line change, which is in hockey, that's really a death sentence when you get a stretch pass in the middle of a line change and you end up with a 2-on-0 or 3-on-1 type situation. I think the Sharks probably bury that, and that's the kind of goal that if you give that one up, that gives them a huge lift. It's almost a gift, and I think Nico Mikkola erasing that opportunity entirely. I think that's one of the turning points of the game. I don't know if you win if he doesn't do that. So Nico Mikkola is going to get my third star for his defensive efforts. My second star is going to be Sam Reinhart. He's absolutely on fire. No one can touch him right now. The puck is finding him. He's getting a lot of rebounds. He's getting a lot of tips, and it's when a player is this good and on this much of a roll, the puck just tends to find you in favorable situations, and he's putting himself in good spots, and then he's getting the luck because he's creating his own luck, and the puck is finding him right now. So I'm going to give him the second star because he's on an absolute tear. And then my first star tonight is Alexander Barkov. Honestly, more so even for his defensive work than his offense tonight. I think I love to see a guy get rewarded with an empty net goal on a night where they dominate so much defensively, and Barkov with his empty netters, it's so rare that we see him score one because he loves to pass those up. He loves to get assists on empty net situations rather than goals, but when it's you all alone on the way to the net, you can't really pass it up. But I think he earned it. His defense was spectacular. He's been so dominant with the stick lifts and the takeaways and in the face-off circle. He's really kind of rebounded and gotten back to that Selke winning form that we've seen from him. And I think defensively, he's been an absolute monster. He doesn't do it with huge hits. He doesn't do it with a lot of the physical play necessarily, even though this year he definitely has picked up his physicality. But his just the stick work defensively it's otherworldly. There's really no one in the sport that can do what he does defensively. So I think he really showed it tonight. I think he's definitely my first star. But my honorable mention is going to go to Belinskis as well. He's been finding the offense the last few games. He's a great skater. He got a goal, he got an assist in the past few games, and now we've seen a couple of goals taken off the board that he was involved in, including tonight. So I think I'm very, very impressed with Belinskis. What a find. And he's making a case right now with Ekblad and Montour getting ready to return. It's going to be it'd be tough to send him to Charlotte. I don't know that you can do it. I really don't know. Because it's going to come down to Mahura or Belinskis. It feels like for who's going to be in the lineup on a nightly basis. And Dmitry Kulikov's gotten a lot of responsibility this year. I don't know that you can necessarily say he's outplayed Belinskis. I think Mike Riley obviously will be one of the odd men out, but Belinskis is making a really strong case for himself, and it's a good problem to have. It's a very good problem to have.
You love to see it for the Panthers. One more thing before we transition over to segment number 3. Tkachuk, 7th straight game with a point, and I want to say congratulations publicly to Carter Verhaeghe on his 100th NHL goal. Just what he's done as far as being the leading scorer in the AHL, and then his 40-goal season last year, and then now 100 goals. And the Panthers still have him for a few more seasons at that $4.4 million cap hit. So what a good contract that the Panthers do have on their hands for Carter Verhaeghe. But we're going to transition to segment number 3, where we're going to discuss more of an update on the latest update on the Panthers' new practice facility in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We're going to discuss that more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. And we spend a lot of time talking together, you and I. We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts, who sits. I'm thankful for that connection we have. And today I want our chat to be a little more personal. I just learned that you can get a 1-year supply of ED medications. You realize what that means? Bring on extended travel, bring on the next natural disaster or supply chain issues. You are covered, my friend. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can refill your generics for Cialis, Viagra, or a radio prescription. And it is possible because of our friends at Jace Medical. Go online right now at jacemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code Locked On at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had to say this about Jace. I am thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut pills in half to have it. I order most of my daily meds with a year's supply. I order antibiotic kit and I feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies. I highly recommend this for everyone. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jacemedical.com to see what's offered for you. Remember to use promo code Locked On for $20 off your purchase at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Segment number 3 here on this Wednesday, November 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Winans Wednesday edition of the show. So, Jacob, in the middle of the first intermission, all the talk was about Patty Kane. You know, something I'm very thankful to have spoken about with my friend Jack Bushman of Locked On Blackhawks just a few days ago. And yes, that was the rumors that just won't go away. That's the latest and all that. The Panthers are still in a big pursuit. But then spoke about the injuries of Montour and Ekblad coming back soon. And then just very casually just said, oh, because they're going to open up their new practice facility on December 1st. And the moment I heard that, I was like, whoa. There was no official announcement, nothing else. And then Emily Kaplan is just coming out here with the breaking news. No, I don't think there was any tweet or anything, neither. So this was something that you really had to pay attention to the broadcast and not go away and get a snack in the middle of the intermission. So thankfully, and I wanted to tweet that out too, because very important for the people of South Florida to know about it too. So December 1st is the target date. And lots of delays, but better late than never. We were thinking summer of 2022. And, you know, almost 18 months later, it is getting ready to finally open. And just the experience, the location where it's near the players and as well, and the different types of events that could happen. I'm not sure if I don't know if the Panthers actual practice rink is going to be shared with the public. I know the rink that they practice in Coral Springs. Many teams, as far as local teams, use that as well. So I'm not sure about what's going to be happening with War Memorial as far as that, but just great to see that this is finally at its end and it's finally going to be revealed to the public as far as that. Your thoughts when you heard that on the broadcast?
I personally thought it was kind of hilarious because it was just so casual. The way she spoke about it, it was just common knowledge to everyone that that is opening on December 1st. And my first thought is like, does she not know? Like, does Emily Kaplan not know how long we've been waiting for this in South Florida? Because it's been delayed. We've been waiting forever for this to open, and she just comes out with the knowledge that no one else had, that this was opening on December 1st. So definitely shout out to Emily Kaplan for giving us that, because we've all been on kind of on pins and needles waiting for when this is when we're gonna have this, and she broke that in the most casual possible way, which I think was really funny. It's almost I'm not even sure she's aware of the fact that it's been delayed for so long and that Panthers fans have been itching for this to open, which made for a pretty funny moment that she just kind of casually threw that out there for everyone. But it's exciting. It's super exciting. I think it's from what we've heard, it's a state-of-the-art facility. It's going to be a game changer as far as drawing interest and making the Panthers even more of a destination for free agents and for trade targets and for guys to play long term and stay here. I think it goes a long way. A lot of the team lives in Fort Lauderdale. I guess it's kind of a sucky situation for Barkov having to travel all the way from Boca since he's the one oddball who lives out there. But
take 95 down.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I think it's great for the franchise, and I really didn't realize we were that close. I wasn't really anticipating it being open that soon. I assumed at some point this season, but definitely not that soon. So, yeah, it's an exciting time. I cannot wait to get down there and see for myself. But it's it's huge, and the context that this was talked about in when discussing the potential signing Patrick Kane, and it's like this is one of the things that makes the Panthers even more attractive of a destination for a guy like Patrick Kane, who has limitless options. He's highly sought after, and
8 teams.
Yep. And the Panthers are. It seems the Panthers are on everybody's short list of teams that they'd want to play for. Matthew Tkachuk is a guy, for example, who really kind of controlled his own destiny, and the Panthers were a team that he was highly interested in. He kind of almost picked his way here, and we've seen that. We've seen that where anytime a player requests a trade or is a free agent, the Panthers always pop up on the list of teams that really talented or really highly sought after free agent is looking for. And that really speaks to the culture change, but also the fact that this is no longer just a place where older players come to retire. This is a place where you go compete for Stanley Cups, and having that kind of state-of-the-art facility, it's just another attractive piece that you can pitch to guys who are considering a move.
Yeah, and it's definitely becomes more attractive by the water too. Don't have to travel too far, and you could, it's definitely brings the good vibes around the area, and winning helps. That's definitely a definite factor when it comes to it, because hey, when you have a 3-time Stanley Cup champion who wants to just add one more to it and doesn't want to go out the way he is currently at with his injury, you want to go out on a high note, and hey, hopefully the Panthers do find a way to make that happen for sure. But Jacob, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this Winans Wednesday edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, where the Florida Panthers defeat the San Jose Sharks by a final score of 5-3 and sweep the season series against San Jose. Tell everybody where they can follow you online.
Yep, you can follow me on X at Jacob Winans 8 as usual.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week as the Panthers prepare to face the Boston Bruins next Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
I am planning to be there, so that should be fun.
And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone, and Steve Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez with Jacob Winans, and you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.